Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Njenje Media TV, and this is our street parliament for today, being the Saturday, the 10th of June 2023. As we speak, the court, the Presidential Appeal Court sitting in Abuja here, has just been dismissed. We will be giving you updates as to what transpired in the courts today. Besides that, our topic, and this is where we would need you to have your own input as well. For many of you who are joining us for the first time, welcome to Njenje Media TV. And my name is Maz. Okay, we will be looking at the arrest of the CBN governor, Emiefiele. Yesterday, many of you were aware that suddenly news broke out yesterday evening that the former CBN governor, it's actually what to refer to him as former, that the CBN governor who started a policy that many of us, myself included, actually supported before the election, because the cashless policy, but which eventually inflicted a lot of pains on Nigerians and eventually amounted to naught, because everything, all gains that were made were basically rolled back. He was yesterday suspended by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and some of you actually have argued, why would Bola Ahmed Tinubu suspend him? Now, some of you have actually gone back to try to do a juxtaposition between Emiefele's ordeal and that of Sanusi. When the lying machine, or what did I call him, the lying machine, when Liar Mohammed, when he went on air, when he went everywhere, telling everyone that, the emir of, or rather the former emir, everyone now is former, should not be arrested on any condition at all. APC said these things. And today, in one of the forums that I co-share with the APC, I basically give them, I shared something today by Premium Times, published on the 18th of January 2024, where he says, don't suspend, harass CBN governor Sanusi. APC tells Jonathan in 2014, that's 9 years ago. Would PDP or the Labour Party or the AA or any other party that is in the opposition, would they say something like this, and how would Nigerians react? It appears Nigerians have no sympathy with Emiefiele. However, there are diverse and divergent opinions regarding what is happening with Emiefiele. That is where you are coming in, because today this is street parliament. That means every single one of us on the streets, in the office, in their sitting room, we are going to use technology to all come together to have our views. Our views will be, we'll share our views. We can debate with one another as to what we think about this. As I do not know the platform that you're watching me on now, but we are. It says is my network really bad? Let me see. Someone is complaining in the comment section that my network is bad. Is my network bad? Please, can those of you watching me indicate if my network is bad? We are actually streaming on YouTube. We are live on Twitter, and also we are live on Facebook. Oh, okay. I think I've just used my telephone. Sorry, I've just used my telephone basically to check my streaming, and I do not think that my streaming is that. I don't know what the network is doing, but anyway, we have to. So for many of you who may want to join us, you can see the in the comment section on these platforms, you see the link to join us on, in the comment section. Now, you then come back to what we are What's my Twitter handle? My Twitter handle is at Mazezoke, Maaziezoke. So you can watch that on Twitter. And for many of you who do not follow me and not following me on Twitter, please move over to Twitter and follow me at once. I do more postings on Twitter because most times if I'm sitting in the court, I do more Twitter updates. I write a lot on Twitter. Okay, so I see some of you are telling me now that the YouTube, but my YouTube here actually, people, I'm looking at the YouTube here, and the YouTube here is not crackling at all. The YouTube here, let's see, the YouTube here is not crackling at all. YouTube is very, very stable. Okay, so maybe as we go on, as long as it's not the Emiefiles and the Emiefilas after us, then we will be fine. So, like I said before, for those of you who wish to join, we will see if we can pin join link on the comment section. But if you go through the comment section, you can see that's been shared now on Facebook, and that's been shared on Twitter, and also, and yeah, thank you very much, John William John, saying that YouTube is perfectly fine. Because we are streaming on 1080p. Maybe it may be too heavy for your data. I do not know. But either way, bear with us. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right, people. So let us come back to the conversation. DSS, yesterday, Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, let's look at this. Many of you have argued, why would crime fight crime? And I asked someone on Twitter today, say, who is crime? Some of you who still do not believe that Bola Ahmed Tinubu is clean enough to be the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria are questioning the reason and the rationale why someone who, through Mahmoud concussion, is coming to power, how would he then begin to fight and fix anything? Some of us also, in some of the forums today, some intellectuals have argued that it's, they are after MFL based on policy, some policy issues. Then I ask, when he did the Naira redesign, in most cases, he will say it is left for the president to give the final accent. Even when they have gone to court, the president came out to speak. Therefore, if Emefele was reporting to a president, is it then right to punish him for something that he has someone he's done that job for? If we have to begin to punish people based on policy failures, then it should be right that we also, by tomorrow morning, arrest Muhammadu Buhari, because he also had hundreds of policies that were catastrophic. Nigeria has spent billions as in dollars, billions to fix refineries, yet those refineries are refining zero. Every month we pay people salaries, would send them to trainings abroad to go and learn how to refine and how to do XYZ, yet they come back, they fold their arms. They do nothing. We pay them. Isn't that a catastrophic policy? If we must begin to arrest people on policy, why haven't we arrested the man who spearheaded for the first time in the history of the world an airline that was launched on PowerPoint and he fell on PowerPoint and died on PowerPoint? Where we spent $600,000 just to design a logo. $600,000 just to design a logo. We gave that logo to a Bahrain company where that happened. If you begin to look at all these things, you begin to ask yourself, where are we going to start? Well, someone made a point today that I actually agreed with. In all the campaign period, Bola Ahmed Tinubu ran away from debate. He never for once debated any of those that he was contesting against. He never attended even the single ones, like the one that we were involved, myself and Kadira Ahmed, the candidates, where we had everyone come and sit down and also speak to the camera. He never attended. Kola, Abiola, Peter Obi, name them. the Adewale from SDP, all of them came, with exception of Bola Ahmed Tinubu. How? Then do you, a man who has not presented himself to be questioned, someone asked, has Bola Ahmed Tinubu ever said he was going to fight corruption? Do you have it on tape? Has he ever told you he was going to fight corruption? You can see thousands of places where you see someone like Peter Obi will talk about corruption and how and what he was going to do. Take the petroleum industry, for instance. He says that over 50% of our consumption, petrol consumption, is fraud. Subsidy is fraud. That first of all, what he was going to do is to plug the loopholes. Suddenly, we have increased the price of fuel to 540 naira a liter, and people are protesting in Cameroon. People are protesting in Guinea-Bissau, in Chad, meaning Peter Obi was right all along that we do not. He said, he used a language that cracks me up anytime I think about it. He said, by the time we plug the loophole, then they will tell us who is drinking the rest of the petrol. So meaning it's true. Our neighboring countries are actually drinking our petrol without us knowing about them, or rather, because we knew about them, but those whom we have given or yielded our powers are basically taking it and taking us for granted. Yesterday, Bola Ahmed Tinubu suspended. Actually, they said suspended. But we know that's a sack. He is not going to come back to the office. That's a given. You can bet me on that. Yesterday evening, about an hour and a half, that news broke and it was published. If you go back to njenjemedia.com, you will see that. About an hour and a half, what then happened? Suddenly, we also saw that the man has been arrested by DSS. Question now begin to arise. Why was he arrested? Why was he arrested? Some began to say, wow, it was because of Naira design policy, speculations everywhere. Some began to say it was because of the dual or triple dollar, pricing model where you can sit down in your house and buy dollar for 420, 450 and sell them for 700, 720. A lot of speculation began. One thing is very clear. Emiefiele did not manage the CBN very well. Neither his boss managed it better. So we have two catastrophic failures riding the Nigerian ship in the last 8 years. And this is where we have found ourselves, in shipwreck. One has gone home in Daura, where anything you have seen in Nigeria is unfinished business. We have an airline where we have spent billions of naira, yet all we have for it is an airline that we leased or rented from Ethiopia, painted it, flew in, told us it was launched, and he flew back, repented within 1 week to go back to Malawian airline. What a shame. So it's on record that Buhari is the president with the highest number of everything. We have the Naira, we have the airline that started on PowerPoint and ended on PowerPoint. We have the school feeding program, school feeding program, because we do not know these children that they were feeding. We have the trader money that we don't know how it went. That when we drag the trader money, it might tear the trouser of the former vice president, Pastor Professor Yemi Osibanjo, somehow entangled in that web. When you begin to unbundle and speak about all these things, you ask yourself a very simple question. Was Buhari government in any way, shape, or form good to Nigeria? Many people, probably our, myself, let me put it, personalize it here, included, could actually say, no, he did not. But so many of us also would definitely disagree that Buhari has done fantastic things. I know so many people that will walk up to me and say, well, how can you say that Buhari didn't do anything? He built the second Niger bridge. I say, well, that is another E project. Why do I call it an E project? Of course, the project does exist, but that project was commissioned without being finished because the connecting roads to that bridge is not yet completed. Then you ask yourself, why the rush? When you begin to unpick Buhari's government, there is a lot that leaves sour taste in our mouth. Where do you begin? I talked about the e-naira that is virtually non-existent. We talk about the naira design that was catastrophically done. We brought back the old naira. We say cashless policy that helped us to curb criminality. Suddenly, those who kidnap for money no longer kidnap because their job is not to kidnap to eat you. They kidnap to take ransom, but there is no more ransom to take because everyone, honestly, till tomorrow morning, I liked that policy because it forced everyone, especially those within the city and even our mothers at home. I was in my village. I go to the market and I want to eat. And suddenly, everyone I ask, do you take transfer, Mama? Mama will tell me, I take. Meaning, my son, I take transfer. It took them a while. So if we had sustained that narrative by now, probably we would have been much better. It is only someone engaging in illegal business and illegal activities that will not want to engage in electronic transfers. We saw new technology and microfinance banks spring up who've been there in operation, but their operation basically skyrocketed because their infrastructure was better than the legacy banking sectors that failed in every transaction. You saw OPay, PAMPay, money whatever, and so many of them, Kuda Bank, that you could make transfers with, and this transfer never failed. There were some good policies that could not be pursued to logical conclusion. As I said before, I want to show us a video for those of you who have not seen it, where Emiefiele was, there is no pity here, sorry, but it was being, taken away in a standby private jet after he boasted that he was going to, anyone who wished to fight him can bring it on. But this time around, when he was arrested, he held his head down. And those who took this video actually knew what they were doing, that because they want to use this for PR, they knew exactly what they were doing by recording that video. But let's basically show you the first video that has to do with when he was very, very boasty, saying, whoever wants to do anything, let him bring it on.
Those who feel they want to support him, to fight me, come out. Let's fight. To fight me, come out. Come out. Let's fight.
Come out. Let's fight. Come out. Let's fight. Now he was bragging, come out, let's fight. But when he now came to the proper fight, Oga, now so the fight takes start. The man that was bragging, he was ready to fight, is now the man who is in this video. So you can see Emiefiele is in that vehicle. I think I'm going to get another video that clearly showed Emiefiele there. Oh, I think some of you are here. If you are joining us now and you want to make your own contribution, I think Deji is here, Chidozie is here, Christ Rebirth. All of you who are joining us here in the studio, we can come in and let us have this conversation. This, once more, is the Street Parliament, and my name is Mazi Ezoke. As usual, we know that the APC somehow took us from top to bottom. We know it. Very simple. They took us from top.
ABC, Nigeria, Nigeria, from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom.
So they took us from top to bottom. You can see that Nigeria from top to bottom. There is no argument about that, that we have gone from top to bottom. We have gone, from minimal depth to humongous depth that we now owe the world. And you keep asking yourself, can someone please point me to the projects that we used these monies for? Where are the projects? You know that some of these monies were, like Second Niger Bridge. Some of you are commenting here. The monies were at some point there were some payments made by the previous, because this is actually a PPP project. So it's not entirely that federal government is funding this project, PPP project. There is also the other argument that the Abacha loot, the ancestor that keeps sending us, cash transfers whenever we are broke. He sits somewhere in the world of the beyond, and he sends us credit alert whenever we are broke. One of the alerts that he sent to us, we actually was part of it was plowed into the Second Niger Bridge. Second Niger Bridge, as you know, let me not talk about the quality or anything, but at least the project is ongoing. But anyone telling you that that project is completed, tell him that I said that that individual is a liar. Because I do not know why Nigeria is a nation where people can begin to use, or rather, where we commission projects that are not yet completed. Abandoned projects everywhere. Then you ask yourself, how? How does these things happen? Emiefiele was arrested. If you go to Twitter Spaces now, people are arguing why he should not have been arrested. He should just go straight to jail. Listen, whether you like his face or not, Emiefiele must still go through the legal procedure. Emiefiele, yes, has been arrested, but I tell you, by Monday, there is a reason how these guys work. They want to arrest people, when they want to break laws, they arrest you on a Friday. If they arrest you on a Friday, they will use the argument that there is no court sitting on Saturday and Sunday to keep you till Monday. So my take here is that Emiefiele will be in DSS custody for today and tomorrow. By Monday, I predict that you will see senior advocates of Nigeria, some of you call them senior advocates of nonsense, that will begin to go to court in order to argue for, and some of them against, why he should be detained and why he should be released. I can bet you already that on Arise TV on Monday and on Channels TV on Monday, that's going to be what is going to be dominating in the airwave. These are peculiar things that sometimes when you think about the nitty-gritties, you begin to wonder. Shouldn't it have been better that he was arrested with a court order? Now, there is a speculation here, it is unconfirmed, that his arrest was linked to the funding of Dangote refinery. I have a I have a report here says, in a shocking development, the Nigerian federal government has suspended the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emiefiele. Sources revealed that Emefile was arrested in Lagos by the Department of State Services, Department of State Services (DSS) on the 10th and flown to Abuja for the questioning, which the security agency has now confirmed. At least we have also published that video confirming that yes, he has been arrested. The suspension, the report continues, is reportedly tied to a staggering $1 billion scandal that unfolded just before the presidential inauguration. This newspaper, again, the news outlet, not in the media now because we haven't published it because we have not confirmed the authenticity of that report. It hasn't gone through the checks and balances and our editorial checks before we could publish. But I'm just saying that this narrative is also out there without confirming anything. The suspension is, the length that the suspicion arose after MFL borrowing of $1 million from Afrexim Bank on April 24th, incidentally, on my birthday, 2023, after the election during the preparations for the May 29th inauguration. Shockingly, within 2 days of receiving the money, $750 million was swiftly transferred to Aliko Dangote Dubai's account using Form A. It is alleged that the president-elect, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, was kept in the dark about the transaction. Sources within the CBN claim that Emefile sold dollars to Dangote at an unbelievable low rate of 445 naira to the dollar. $1 billion was received from Afrexim Bank into the CBN JP Morgan's account on 24th of April out of the 700 out of which $750 million was swiftly immediately transferred to Dangote. Now, assuming, again, for clarity here, these are all allegedly, clearly stated. So we are not saying that we are confirming anything. We are not, but allegedly. Now, ask yourself, are some people untouchable? Assuming that this report that I've just read to us is anything to go by, is it only Emefile that should be arrested? Shouldn't the person who swiftly money was paid into his account in Dubai, shouldn't the man who bought money at a low price of 445 naira to a dollar, shouldn't that man also be questioned? There is also unconfirmed report published by a sister publication company saying that they know how many Nigerian millionaires who own the Dangote refinery. I'm not saying anything. But I think in Nigeria, it is the more you look, the less you see. There are dead bodies buried everywhere. It depends on how deep you want to dig. The more you dig, it could be the more you see. The question is, if you stick your neck in digging, would you ever come back alive? Many people who have dog, and dog, where are they now? Some of them dead. You know the short man in Kaduna, how many journalists that he has taken out? Either that they had disappeared or that they are in prison. At least these are not coming from me. This is coming from the senator, the Afro senator from his state. How many pastors were killed in his own state? A video came out the other day where he was bragging on how they have instituted Muslim ticket in his state. So if we want to talk about arresting people and people that should actually start paying for what they've done against the Nigerian state, is it only Emefile? Or is it that some people are still angry that Emiefiele, before the election, made cash unavailable for them to use in buying votes. I don't know. Is it that some people are thinking if these cash were available, the type of stupid rigging that they've engaged in probably may not have happened? They may have had some cash to obviously bribe people to have different outcome. People, these are things bothering us and facing us now. To join me here to have your say, please click on the link in the comment section posted by Njenje Media TV. You join me, you can come here and you have your say. Please, before you join me, endeavor that you're in a place that is very well lit. Before I start taking some of your either your calls or your comments by joining me here, let me take some of your comments. Let us have it coming. So once more, Nigeria, we have indeed gone from top to bottom. The street parliament is brought to you by Njenje Media, and we indeed hope that this will be coming your way every Saturday. We have gone without any equivocation from top.
ABC, Nigeria, from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom.
This one like says,
So we are turning left, we are turning right, we are just rigmaroling. We are just going up and down, up and down. We are just going up and down. Oh, I remember one of those days. We do forget a lot. One of those days, it was off your mic.
That is okay. Let me explain. No, it's okay. It's okay. Let me explain. It's okay. Now. It's okay. You must not allow the two children to have the budget every year. It's okay. Off your mic. It's okay. She off your mic.
So they will be offing this mic, and next week you are very likely to see the mic that the mic offers may eventually, according to the leadership of the APC, sit on the helm of affairs to make laws for you. They will be the ones to make laws for you. They will be the ones to, lord it over you. There's no two ways. I mean, this is, these things aren't funny, but what are you going to do? By the way, today, once more, at the Presidential Election Tribunal, as the Presidential Election Tribunal was ongoing in Abuja, the what do you call them? The Asari Dokubo and the APC gang, they were still protesting as usual. Last 2 weeks, after ignoring them for a while, I went to them and I interviewed them to understand why they were actually protesting. Yesterday they weren't there. Today, you know why they came out to protest? Very simple. Because yesterday televisions were brought into the courtroom. Now their thinking is, if they continue protesting, that there will be no room for those televisions that were brought into the courtroom to see to be used in any way. Then you ask yourself, how do these people think? How do they think? And since this started, the principal person that is involved in this, that is Mr. Peter, has always consistently been in the court, always, consistently been in the court. So let me quickly show us the video of the APC. That's just a couple of hours, couple of hours ago. People that have purportedly won an election, why are they still protesting, if you ask me? Why are they still protesting? If you have won an election, isn't it easy for you to just basically go and celebrate? So you can see that here, these guys are still protesting in Abuja. These guys, majority of them are paid for from the Niger Delta. This is the in front of the Federal Court of Appeal, because the Presidential Election Petition Court or Presidential Election Petition Tribunal sits at that appeal court near the 3-arm zone, or rather in the 3-arm. And these guys are here protesting every single day. You ask them, what are they protesting? Purportedly won an election. So why don't you go and enjoy whatever? So it's quite funny. And these are things that many of you who say that some of these things can only happen in Nigeria, where people are hungry. You could give someone some, basically some cash, and that individual will just come and be protesting. That's it. That individual will just come, protest for protesting's sake. Now, you look at this again. First of all, let me pause. If you look at this is the one we published. This is the longer version. You'll see that DSS on Twitter, now, after much speculation, much denial, saying that, well, he's not under our custody. He is under our custody. Yesterday, they came out, this morning they came out when this video was released to say, the Department of State Services, DSS, hereby confirms that Mr. Godwin Emiefiele, the suspended governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, is now in its custody for some investigative reasons. Now, speculation now abounds. What are these? This is what. One. Wasn't playing, I would say please go back to Njenje Media. You will see the whole video published there. People, give or take, there is one thing that we must all now understand. It is true and it is official that this governor, or rather the former governor of the central bank, was arrested. It is no longer a speculation if that happened or not. Yes, it is true. However, what is not clear, be from the government side or from anywhere, is no one is actually aware of what is happening. Why was he arrested? We can all dwell and stay in the realm of speculation. We do not know. We do not actually know, right? And the fuel subsidy is still hitting us, people. On that note, I say thank you very much, and join us again, and stay tuned on Njenje Media. We will shortly be updating. Oh, hold on, quickly, hold on. Let me take this. So shortly, I will be joining. I will have a guest quickly that will be joining me now, and is a face that many of you know, and is a man of very eloquent speeches. You will be glad that you stayed back to hear him as he joins me. So bear with me quickly. He will be joining me shortly. So as I said before, while we are waiting for some of us to join, and we will also be reminding us that Nigeria indeed has gone from tough, as some of you call it, to
ABC, Nigeria, Nigeria, from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom.
This one like this. Don't tumbling. I'm good water. Everything is up.
So if you look, even in that video, we have people who stole her, man. Where the level of crime in Nigeria is mind-boggling. Where do you even start? We had people who stole millions in dollars. We had that professor there that you saw in that video who stole, commingled millions, billions of naira. And when he was asked question during the House of Rep committee, he feigned that he was collapsing. And you ask yourself again, Haba now, why all these things happening? Why are we doing this? When are we going to see those individuals also arrested? When? When are we going to see them arrested? This is, you know, I mean, it's not one, it's not two, it's not three, it's not four, it's not five, it's not even six. So many that if you want to begin to arrest everyone that has really raped Nigeria without any form of protection, you are going to be building more prisons every day. And for those who do not know, now, so okay, I have sorry, I have a couple of people indicating interest to join. So for those of you watching online wanting to join, please click on that. I know when you come in, you're going to still be on the back room before you are brought in. Okay. So I have a couple of people planning to join. Okay, yeah. So let's quickly bring us to. sorry, let's quickly bring us to speed on this. So when we look at what is, happening, you then agree with me that it is either, if we want to really sanitize the system, either we'll begin to arrest and begin to deal with anyone who was involved, be it the um, airline that was launched and died without anything coming off it, or those that are engaged in trader money, or those that are actually engaged on e-feeding, because everything now is e-naira, e-feeding, e-airline, airline that if you want to buy a ticket now, you could actually buy this ticket in Daura. Yet, some of those people who understand what they have done over time are now saying that they never knew that injustice exists. There is a video that started trending today, and some of you have called it the rich also cry, where a senator from Abia State, Senator Orji Kalu. Oh, okay. I have Dr. Mo joining me now. I have Dr. Mo. Dr. Mo, I can see you. Hold on. I can see you have joined me. So, Madmo.
Yeah, good to be here.
Yeah, good to see you again, brother. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good as ever.
Yes. So, we are discussing the arrest of Emiefiele. Obviously, I know you are a staunch critic of the man, but if we start by asking you, do you think we have gone back to when, arguing back and forth like we did in the year 2014, when the then regime or government of Goodluck Ebere Jonathan was trying to arrest Sanusi? Or do you think his own case is different from that of Sanusi?
Obviously, when you look at the level of allegations, the height of atrocities that have gone on under this regime, it melts in complete streamidrines or whatever it's called now before, as compared to what had happened during the regime of Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi. It's almost, it's unbelievable. It's unheard of. It's incomprehensible. The kinds of allegations, the figures, and the storylines. It's just, even the worst of criminals will arrest, Emiefiele, just based on the news making round and some of the depth of knowledge of what has transpired under the Buhari regime while he was heading the Apex Bank. So obviously, this is in the following hours and weeks and days, Nigerians are going to be very astonished as regards the things that have happened under the watch of Emiefiele.
Before you join me, there was an article that I read out which alluded that there was a $1 billion transaction that happened with the Afri-Exim Bank end of April, and that about $750 million out of that money was quickly transferred to a Dangote account in Dubai. And the president-elect then, quote unquote, was not aware of that he was arrested based on that transaction that was linked to the Dangote refinery. Then you ask yourself, should that then be the case? Why would he alone be arrested if it's such a thing? Or are some individuals more equal than the others?
That's also this comes back to what I started saying while you introduced me, that in the coming days, a lot are going to unfold, and Nigerians are going to be like in awe. This is just one side of reasoning and questioning, like, yeah, should he be the only one? But I guess it has more to do with the fact that I want to believe, and Nigerians wants to believe, that this is just the beginning of the unfolding stories that we're going to be, and also the arrests, that is going to begin, so because there are many parts to this, I don't think, going by the revelations of allegations, that even the former president, Muhammadu Buhari, would sleep pretty well in Daura or wherever he is, and so many other names too are going to, come to the fore as we go. So I think it's going to be a very interesting journey. Yeah.
So are you sitting down there? We are sitting in two different locations in Abuja. Are you sitting down there saying that, believing for 1 second that whatever, whoever, and however the investigation goes, that someone in their right senses, in the Nigerian context, would ever talk about inviting Buhari for questioning, talk less of even exposing some of the things he's done?
I tell you something. When you look at I still maintain, because it's important to say this even on this platform. I've been on several platforms, and I know I was on WeFM a few days ago, where almost all the callers from a particular region of the country wanted to eat my head off, because I was wondering if I could drive back home safe, where I mentioned categorically that the placeholder president started off his regime tumultuously in the very dangerous ground by the pronouncement of the removal of the subsidy regime. And I said so because, the case is still in court. I can say that he is not my president, not because I want to degrade, or not because I am lawless, but because the case is still in court. And I believe in the Nigeria judiciary. I still have to hold on to something to believe in. And if truly we believe in that, then you have to know that both the inauguration, both the presidency of placeholder President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is a placeholder. And I understand that because there is no need to have a vacuum in any country, especially a country like Nigeria that is very is on the edge. It was important to have that inauguration. However, it is a placeholder inauguration, and therefore he is a placeholder president. But I tell you why I'm giving all this backdrop. To have the man come on the first day, probably first hour, first of everything, to make that kind of pronouncement, side by side, while I query that, because there is no regime that loves the people. Any policy that puts an untold hardship on the people is not a good policy. And I have said consistently, as a leader and as a leadership consultant, I maintain that leadership is about inspiring the people. It's a difference between leadership and governance, where you have to probably play by the book. Leadership is more dynamic, and a great leader will not put an untold hardship on the people, But again, I also said side by side that for somebody who can come out and damn every consequences and make such a pronouncement, it seemed to me that this guy is being given the greatest opportunity, given the time that he has to sit in that office. It means he can do and undo. And who knows, probably he has been given the most vital, the greatest tool in life to be able to create such an impact within the short possible time that he has to be there. Who knows if he can come out and crumble the whatever shenanigans scam of a regime of subsidy and go right ahead to arrest and sack the man at the Apex Bank. Mazi, I want to ask you, I think we're in for some roller coaster, beautiful ride within the particular short time that he has been given. So this is what I'm thinking. And I want to see it all play out. I want to see all the people come. I want to see the Sabius. I want to see the former accountant general who stole over 100 billion. I want to see President Muhammadu Buhari. I want to see the Attorney General Malami. I want to see all the people who have done the most inhumane, committed the most incredible atrocities, and that people have not been able to mention, that we can sit here today and call these names and to have Emiefiele arrested today. I think we're in for some beautiful season in Nigeria. I think so.
So you obviously, you are agreeing that, well, I don't believe for 1 second that beyond the charade that we see today, that anything serious will come out of it. I mean, we've been here multiple times. Nothing, because I don't see where crime fights crime. I don't see that. I don't see where illegitimacy fights. Honestly, I don't know how to put it, but I do not have any iota of hope.
I mean, I am on the same side with you. We roll the city of Abuja, ensuring that we, together with you, we ensure that we brought to the international community and the global stage, particularly the 2023 February 25th fraud committed by Professor Yakub Mahmoud and his some of his commissioners and allies. We brought it to the international stage. We were out there with you for 23 days non-stop, from the US embassy to the INEC to the American embassy. We went all over the place. So of course, we are proponent. We propagated and we ensured that the whole world knew exactly what was going on. So yeah, like you, but on one part, I'm saying that maybe, who knows? Let's see how this is going to play out, because while I don't believe, while I don't see how that is going to work, somewhere in the back of my mind, I'm like, okay, let's watch and see. While we work and talk, let's see how all this is going to play out, So it's almost like, how do you call it now? It's not like one of those stories were told during, as described by one of global novelists, Chinua Achebe, when he talked about the moonlight stories. Maybe we're going to sit and watch how this is all going to play out. Crime, dealing with crime. Like we're right here in Abuja when we saw the most fortified prison in the nation was broken into at daylight. Maybe we're in for some surprises again.
Not only broken into, they gave them advance warning, and they knew, and it still happened. So,
exactly.
I mean, now ask yourself. You see why I do not have any iota of hope is, since then, has any single person within that prison services or correctional center been punished? The whole management. Who took blame for it? I mean,
and I guess that brings us to what this is why, again, I know that there is a possibility, even though, like I rightly said, the placeholder president can decide to do the unthinkable. That's what I'm thinking. That doesn't mean that it does not exonerate our narrative, but I'm just saying.
If I push you on, if I want to, anchor on your narrative that you're basically trying to push, and I say I'll take a step backwards. If you go back to the subsidy, did he actually remove subsidy? No, he didn't, because there was, you recall that Buhari, before ever, he has kept saying it, that end of June there's not going to be any subsidy. In June, there's not going to be any subsidy. There was no, in the supplementary budget that was submitted, there was zero for subsidy there. So even in the speech read by Bola Ahmed Tinubu, there was no mention, what he actually did was ad lib. So the question is, was it just an ad lib, or is it something he craftily, smartly thought about, or is it just someone just, like, how you say that? Partial contact. Something comes in immediately, partially, and it triggers, sparks something, it goes through the mouth. Is that something what happened? So at this point, we don't know. But, when we talk about subsidy removal, the way he has gone about it, I actually do not think it's inevitable, no matter what. No matter who had taken over, there was no appropriation there. If you had wanted to do it, it would have meant going against the law to go look for monies and how you do it. But one thing that is very clear is, like Peter Obi normally says, he was going to do XYZ, that over 50% of this crude oil that we don't consume it, that he was going to find out who drinks this oil. Without even coming in, we already find out the people drinking it like coffee. We now know that Chad, Cameroon, Okada riders in Cameroon are protesting. Taxi drivers are protesting. Why? Because our own crude oil, our own oil has gone up in price. But if you ask me, I think we increased price because of our ineffectiveness to protect our border. If we could police our border, there is no reason why our oil should go over 250 naira. That's my honest take. But again, just like when we couldn't fight insecurity, do a lot of things, the Naira redesign policy stopped kidnapping overnight and stopped a lot of things. But it's the inability of the state to actually take full responsibility in protecting life and lives of the citizens that actually leads to that.
Yeah, and it's surprising why the poor people of this nation, this great nation Nigeria, have always have to be the ones at the receiving end each time. When you look at exactly the subsidy regime, it has nothing to do with the poor people. When money was pumped to ensure that the refineries are revamped, it wasn't the poor people. Whatever gets to be done, it wasn't the poor people. And at the end of the day, the poor people, are the ones at the receiving end. They're the ones paying over 500 naira, for that. And meanwhile, the people who are responsible for this, who can afford to buy every liter for 1 million naira, are going scot-free. So I totally agree with you. For me, it's almost like you are reorganizing the crime for some other people. And this is why some of us are speaking very hard on it. If truly you mean well for the people, increase salary, put transportation palliative in place, ensure that one refinery alone, one of the big refineries in Nigeria, is enough to serve our internal consumption rate. We have all this already marshaled out. And of course, why the monopoly of refining of crude oil, like we have seen, with the Dangote? We have come to the point where we can mention the name now because this is not permissible anymore. We've gone from salt, from sugar, from all kinds of things. No, we don't want to get to a country where we are building arsenals for just one dictatorial, section or particular person in this country. We must liberate our policy and our system. Yeah, so grant certification for people to own and be able to refine our crude. Don't forget, Mazi, that the abomination of this regime, people don't know, but it's good to say it here. And I said it's very annoying when I hear some of the discussions going on some of the traditional media houses where educated people. I mean, I've traveled around the world, and I don't want to sit under any. May not get angry to that point and spill things that are not required in terms of what we're supposed to say as a people. But our crude, which is one of the finest crude on planet Earth. We are forgetting that petrol is just one of the tiny products out of it. We have the jet fuel, we have the diesel, we have the kerosene, we have so many other byproducts from it. We're not even talking about all of this product. We're talking about just petrol, which comes back. Guess what? We don't even use our own petrol from our crude oil. They import some lesser non-quality product for us. That's what the NNPC keeps bringing in. That's why our cars are getting spoiled. That's why the pollution rate is increasing. That's why people are getting sick. Go to River State and see the amount of soot and all of that are coming out even from just the production of the crude oil. Nigerians are paying, are suffering, our environment is being degraded and all of that. All of that is there. And then what we are having on top is the sale of PMS, which is just one of the products that comes out of this. What happens to the rest? And so you don't want to look at this crime that is going on. You know, it's on. That's why some of us have said again and again that every state capital in Nigeria can be like the city of Dubai. This has nothing to do with daydreaming. It has to do with how blessed we are as a people and what we know, you know, based on our natural and the ingenuity of the human capital that we have. So when you look at all of these things, you begin to feel so sorry for our country, you know, and this is why we will never stop. This is why we must ensure that we have the right people coming to government and governance. You know, like you said, I don't know how this, you know, because on one hand, I describe it this way, that you have, you know, for some people, you have the ability to bribe the police people. And so when you get to the police people, when you cross the red light, what you do is that you bring out money and pay them. But state capture, it has to do with the fact that you're not paying the police people. The cars you are driving, as a matter of fact, you have the police people driving you. You have them, they lead you, you know. So for those who understand the two narrative that I've given, this is what is playing on right now. And then we're gonna see how this is gonna pan out, you know, while we are in court. And even though, again, thank God we're having this discussion. I know for the judges, I learned clearly that the bill to extend the retirement age of the judges has been extended from 65 years to 70 years. And that's supposed to be some form of palliative for our judges. Anyway, let me not jump the gun. I'm just saying.
Anyway, that one, I heard that one, it was in the offing before the new regime came in. But I want to use the opportunity to bring in another Amazon joining us here. A privilege to have Eunice Atwejide. She, you know, actually we're supposed to have an interview today. She contested the Lagos State's, sorry, help me again, Federal House of Rep in Lagos, Apapa, I think. But
Correct.
voila, on the day of the election, her name and many other Labour Party candidates in Lagos State were missing in the ballot paper. Now, this is where Nigeria becomes crazier. You would think that someone should be apologizing, and, you know, at least INEC, because these names were duly submitted. Rather than that, all you see happen is they go to court. They're now spending millions, heavy millions, to go to court to compel INEC to bring back their name or to even reconduct the election. You know, you hear things in this country, you basically, your head begin to spin. Now, how do you convince someone that it is not an orchestrated plan against the Labour Party in Lagos? Because these are strong candidates, very strong woman, you know, a strong candidate at that. And maybe people who were scared, you know, when we hear Apapa now, you know, like anytime you go to court and they hear Apapa, we need to know which Apapa. Is it the human Apapa or the Apapa? So her own Apapa is Apapa constituency, not the Apapa with Babalawo bed. So
Oh, you mean a pampas? Because no, because I've heard a pampas. There are different variations to this. So
How
yeah,
the Kenneth Okonkwo's creation.
aha.
she's not an Pampas. She's
No, I'm not. I'm
anyway.
not.
Eunice, you're welcome to Njenje Media TV.
Thank you.
So,
Thank you.
before you joined us, we are discussing about the Emiefiele saga. The suspension, couple of hours later, arrest, detention, and now I'm flown back to Abuja with a private jet. So, in all this, we are now speculating what could be the reason why he was suspended, why he was arrested. What's your take?
Nigeria, we are very good at abracadabra. So everybody will be negotiating with whatever they have, So my guess is Emefile has done what he was built to do by the previous regime. Now, this regime is feeling offended. I believe it has a lot to do with this Naira swap we saw during the election, which probably did cost Tinubu the election, because I mean, every reasonable person, especially those of us who were really on ground and part of the whole process, we all know he lost the election, like completely. Of the three candidates, top candidates, Tinubu is the furthest behind, behind Atiku and Peter Obi. So we know they rigged the election in his favor, and it is possible that that Naira swap thing they brought very close to the election, right in the middle of election, cost him that much damage, that people who would probably have been able to, stand their ground and help him during the presidential elections felt like, okay, there's nothing in it for me, so let me vote my conscience, or let me stand by what I really believe. So he lost that election thanks to Mefile and Buhari, because I'm sure whatever was happening was supported by the Buhari's government. I mean, Mefile will not do a lot of those things just by his own strength. He certainly had the backing of the president. So I am guessing that they wanted to make a scapegoat of him. Like, now we're in power, and these first few days we'll use it to show you. But it's possible that some phone calls have been made, and then they have to like take it easy and treat him with the glove hands. It may not be possible to completely, free him from all the troubles that should be on his head, actually, not just because of the part he played in costing Tinubu the election, but the part he played in destroying the economy. So there should be serious flogging. However, it's possible that they have to treat him with kids' gloves, because he was carrying out a mandate given to him by the former president and his probably cabal. So that's my take on this. I'm guessing they want to punish him, but they can't just go all out and punish him, because there are some powerful people behind him and who supported what he did. So it's Ninja now. It's abracadabra time. We have to just figure out how to navigate the system, because we saw
So
it.
do you for one second think that he could be punished for failed policies? You mentioned the Naira swap. If
Even when
has anyone ever been punished in Nigeria for failed policy? We have thousands of policies under the last government that failed. We have the feeding program failed. We have the money transfer, whatever, failed. We have the Nigerian air failed. Honestly, which one are we going to talk about that didn't fail?
Well, you have to understand that the government in power decides who it will punish. Look at Buhari when he came; he threw Dasuki and a lot of people in jail. Else Zazaki is still in jail. Nnamdi Kanu, a lot of people. So it just depends on who the person in power decides to punish. It doesn't mean that they're going to punish everybody because they did wrong. They'll just find the ones that they really feel like going after, and then they'll go after them with everything they have. I mean, that's how the system works. They always punish somebody, but it may not be the person that you and I think they should be punishing. So they may see all the failed airline. I mean, there's a lot to punish, but that's not the interesting thing for them right now. The interesting thing for them right now is this man that cost them the election. It's just by last minute abracadabra that they are here, and they need to show him, they need to teach him a lesson. That's my take on it, but of course, it's just a guess.
Mo, I think I can see you nodding your head in agreement.
What else can you say? I mean, absolutely, that's the case. It's state capture, and I have it in my book that will be coming out in a few days. It's called The Nigerian Dream in New Nigeria is Possible. But inside this book, the whole of Nigeria, the obedient movement, and people are going to read, and there's a place where I talked about two things that are very, very unique, in Nigeria, has to do with the failed state syndrome and state capture. When you have that in place, is exactly what's going on here, and is criminality against criminality, because on what foundation, how do you come third or fourth, but you are now Nigeria's presidency, and on what ground do you begin to arrest people? But here we are. I don't know how to.
In your last assertion, maybe it will now begin to make sense when that was tried in Imo State, and maybe we didn't pay enough attention
to it. So you can see, and I like the fact that you're drawing my attention to this. It happened in Imo State, just like what El-Rufai came out plainly, because it's no more an allegation, because it's something that he came out to say and owned it, that the evil that he hatched in Kaduna State is now seen at the national scale. We saw that happen, in Imo State, and many people are not aware about this, where you come in through the back door and then you try to ensure that you pull some rocks so that people can begin to wonder, maybe, and because we have the bulk of Nigerians are parochial in nature, and I say within the context of our limited education, we read headlines, we don't, and that's why headlines really sell in Nigeria. So you don't have people who dig deep, who read biographies, who understand perception or the context of stories anymore. We don't dig deep into the intentions and the real stories anymore. All we just do is just religious in terms of the skin deep, of our people, which has become something that has been ingrained into our subconsciousness. So yeah, exactly with Imo State. That's what is going on here right now in Nigeria, as a state where you're just having illegality who is trying to paint itself, is trying to create a false moral narrative. That's what is going on here. However, like I said, until we are able to get down to the bottom of the foundations of our value system and ensure that we install a Nigeria that is credible and fair before the whole world, we're just going to be watching some dramas take place. So let's see if Buhari is going to come down, if Sabiu is going to come down, if the accountant general is going to come down, if Malami is going to come down. I'm expecting some good drama, Mazi. That's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting all these criminals.
Honestly, it's here that I totally, if you recall the drama 8 years ago, when Goodluck Jonathan and Desiani and even Mama P was like the greatest demon on the planet Earth. 8 years later, now Goodluck Jonathan has became, Goodluck Jonathan at some point became the darling of Asorok, to the point that there was rumor and moves were made that he was even willing and ready to contest the presidency of Nigeria. Yet, this was the same man that was demonized in so many things. Desiani Alison Madeke, a woman, said she was battling cancer in the United Kingdom, and they told you and I that she stole heaven and earth. She stole almost, sometimes Adams or Shomole, when he speaks with so much venom, and you will think there was some Viagra in the mouth. And it's at some point, you begin to.
I was holding my laughter.
So, sorry.
Are you aware that Adams Oshomole was one of the key players negotiating with the current NLC president over the increased pump price, and really, and I know from the meeting reliably, I'm informed because I've been in some very critical stakeholder meetings, and I can say this here on my honor. And Comrade Joe had asked him, but you were once in my shoes, what would you do? And so when you have these kinds of, it's almost unbelievable. Things ordinarily in China, in Japan, in some critical developed world, people will go and hang themselves, kill themselves for guilt and shame. But you have people being awarded. You have people being given OON, People have been all kinds of award over criminality. It's almost, I don't understand how we can build a nation like this.
But what I'm driving to, Dr. Mo, is you are saying that you're going to, at some point, you're kind of giving them benefit of doubt, somewhat hoping that something will happen. And I said to you, do not break your heart, because it's too fragile to be broken. Because, if we go back to history, those recall when the man that couldn't control his tongues in Edo was, the nonsense and the crap. He talked about Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, and it turned out when Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala released her book, Fighting Corruption is Dangerous, or rather Reforming the Reformable, or something like that, telling us that the reason why the man was talking so much crap was because he was trying to take last-minute loan, like we see Buhari did with $800 million. But he couldn't justify it. There was the money would have been shared for the boys. And in all those things, the one that breaks the heart, if you ever take these people serious for 1 second, thinking that they are going to do anything, is the Zani. 8 years later, not the Nigerian government, no single case they could institute against the Zani, no single extradition order with a country that we have extradition treaty with could they apply for to bring her back to Nigeria to try. So if you just put us this together, 8 years, now the same party, now the same people, now you want to have faith. How about now? How about if it was
how do we, and I totally had to agree with my sister, in whom I am well pleased in every ramification. As a matter of fact, I had to the Nigerian case is such that, you have to kind of play some politics so that people don't even know how close we are in terms of ideology and several other things. So I totally agree with her. A charade government just chooses the people, to deal with and punished. And but what do you want me to say? What do you want me to do? I mean, can you believe that after over close to 70 days, 80 days, you and I sacrifice our lives on the street to ensure that the entire world gets to know about we're talking about the 2023 general election. We have a placeholder President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, like she rightly said. So if I don't try to keep faith, what do I do? Mazi, what do I do?
You must keep faith, too. You must keep faith, because they said that hunger that has what is it? Tell me now, Mazi, there's this thing you people always tell us in the village. Hunger that has it does not kill. Hunger that has hope does not kill. I don't remember how they say it in Igbo
that's a
language.
direct translation. God
bless you. Thank you. So as long as we keep hoping and we keep striving and we just keep going, I'm very sure that in our lifetime, this country would move forward. I'm so confident. That's why I don't give up. That's why I keep coming back. That's why they will kick me, they will shoot me, they will punch me. I'll still come back and I'll continue to speak, because I know that day is coming when we'll all be like, we did it. I know it's coming, so I'm not giving up. And I hope you all don't, because I know you two are like some of the best soldiers the obedient movement ever saw. Like, I was following you all quietly and I'm like, Jesus, thank you. Because we have people who have faith and who are ready to do something. A lot of people are happy to sit on the fence, watch, do nothing, and just expect miracles to happen. But at least you guys get out, you get on the streets, you do what you have to do, you help those you can help, you uplift those you can uplift, you support those you can, and when it's beyond you, you know it's beyond you, and you let it be. I think that's all we can do. So don't allow the fire to get burnt out. It could sometimes, it gets really frustrating, and then we want to give up. I'm just saying, don't give up. There is light at the end of this tunnel. I am so confident that we'll be fine. I pray and hope that they remove Tinubu. But even if they don't, I will start now. I'll start working towards 2027. I don't think that it's over. I really don't. P2B is doing an amazing job in the courts. In fact,
Absolutely.
God, he's doing such an amazing. I see on the Njenje media. I follow a lot of the court trials. I can't watch all, but at least once in a while, when I tune in, the things I see, the things I read, I'm like, oh Jesus, help us. So it's looking really good from the perspective of those of us who were on the field, who knew what happened. We're seeing a lot of things come up, and we know that if the courts do what they're supposed to do, Tinubu is just a placeholder, like my brother rightly said.
Okay, so if we come back again to those, the system and how selective they can, we have before us here a man who once accused Bola Ahmed Tinubu to be brain behind his arrest and his ordeal. At some point when he was a governor, he accused the former president of Nigeria, Chief Olusegun Obasanjo, to be the brain behind his ordeal. But recently, after the election, we saw when a reconciliation happened that Bola Ahmed Tinubu went down to see the mom and, obviously prostrated before the mom. But today, this video surfaced. Now, I want to have your take. Let's have a listen.
One of my best time in life in the Senate, and I also went through one of my difficult period. Also in this Senate. Before I came to the Senate, before I came into politics, I can buy anything body can buy. I'm not a thief. Those that put me in prison know the reason they put me in prison. They took over all my businesses and want to kill me. But I survived it. I'm in the Senate with you people. It's not the end to what we have done. It's not the end to United Nigeria. It's not the end to Brothers Keeper. But these senators I called were with me. I never lacked. When the PDP that I was governor for 2 terms was being formed, I brought every money they used in forming that party. Every penny in 1997 and 98. And I later became a thief. And people I gave transport money from my house in VI became angels. This is what Nigeria represents. I want to thank my colleagues for giving me these 4 years of uninterrupted support. Because this country is not fair to so many of us. I built this country, I employed 13,800 workers. People employ nobody, and nobody asks them their source of wealth. I have 3 factories in Lagos, Nigeria. I have 2 factories in Ota, build manufacturing. I have 3 factories in Aba, manufacturing, and I'm a thief. And people that cannot explain where their source of wealth come from, they are not thieves. I leave everything in the hands of God. May God be the judge.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip.
So this God, wherever he sit now, they take care. This God don't suffer. Wallahi. Because the way everybody,
they don't dump him.
I'm telling you, everybody is calling him. I mean, this God must be but I hope he doesn't have heart attack from the things he sees or hears. Now, let me before I put you guys and put these questions, there are two things that I want to point out here. One, he said he's not a thief. I mean, I am not going to, he's my brother, I'm not going to call him a thief. But 7.1 billion Abia State money is still not yet accounted for. That was the reason why he was sent to jail. He came out on technicalities of another person. Over to close to a decade, this case has been ongoing. He left office in the year 2007. Obviously, I may agree with him that he fought, he had some fight with Olusegun Obasanjo that crippled his Lock Airline, Hallmark Bank, and all whatnot, right? I mean, that's Nigeria. That's, when they want to fight dirty. But he now talked about fairness. I nearly laughed. You recall when the issue of Muslim ticket came up. He said it didn't matter. But now when the issue of Senate president comes up, and people like me who say, Kukuma, let us give it to a Muslim. If we can have a Muslim president and a Muslim vice, come on, let us also, if it is madness, let us all remove our drawers and pants. So let us also give it to a Muslim too. But now he comes to Senate president. He's crying in the floor of the Senate, talking about fairness. I don't know, because for me, no emotions here. It's just simple putting 5 and 6 together. Dr. Mo, let ladies go first. Hold on. Eunice.
My dear, what do you want me to say? Orji Kalu, he's telling us he has factories everywhere. He has this, he has that. He did support the Muslim ticket, and he expected to have the Senate presidency on a platter, being an Igbo man and all that. But it looks like Akpabio is giving him a run for his money. And by this time next week, we will already probably know who is our Senate president, and it may not be him. So I think he's already crying foul because he's feeling cheated, he's feeling used, he's feeling like people who should be grateful are not. He's saying it actually. People he gave transport when they were trying to form political parties in the first instance. People that were boys to him are now deciding his fate in politics, and he clearly doesn't like it. Is that really our business? I don't think so, because they're all birds of the same feather, whether they are coming from the APC or PDP or whatever angles they are coming from. They're all birds of the same feathers, and they are indeed stealing our country to stupor. And whatever he had before he came into politics does take away everything you have. It takes a lot of your money, but you don't come in here and then start to take away everything you see. You don't come to start to replenish your pocket. You're supposed to actually come and invest some more of what you have for the betterment of the people. As a politician, you should be happy to just have enough food, shelter over your head, clothes on your body, and then you do what you need to do for the benefit of the people. So I don't understand why he's crying that they are calling him a thief. If 7-point-something billion is missing in your state and you can't explain where it went to, whereas you were the leader of the state when the money went away, then you should take whatever anybody gives you. I'm not feeling sorry for him. I'm sorry to say, even though like yourself is my brother too, but I don't think it's okay to assume that now everybody else, I have supported Tinubu, I have supported Shetima, they are Muslim tickets, it's my turn. So he feels it's a miracle time for himself too. Nah, he should calm down. The thing that he's giving to other people, he deserves to get some of it. So if he's not going to tell the truth when it matters, when the country would benefit, then he should not expect us to support him, because he may have he may have a legitimate interest in becoming Senate president, or because he's an Igbo man and he has been there long, we should not support him. He's not supporting good things for the people. So we too will not support good things for him. Sorry.
When Dr. Mo, before I come to you, when he talked about fairness, there is this popular saying he used to say before, that it is not the turn of Ndibo or the Southeast, that they must build bridges Now I'm saying, fairness, why are you crying? Don't we have enough road or concrete to continue building the bridges?
I'm sure he has built enough bridges. He's just realizing all of a sudden that there's no amount of brick and mortar, whatever you put together to build bridges for Nigeria as an Igbo man that works when you're doing it on your own and for your own selfish interest. Until he begins to work with every other Igbo person for the interest of the Igbo person, he has no right to be claiming the Igbo or any Igbo legitimacy. He doesn't deserve it. The way we are all suffering to get the presidency for Peter Obi, whether he's Igbo or not, is the way he should be fighting for every interest of Nigerians and the Igbo people. If he wants us to support him when he needs us. Now he needs us, we are all denying him the same way he denied us. So he should live with it. Thank you.
So thank you very much, the Iron Lady. So, Dr. Mo, so he said he's not a thief, and he said he's not being treated fair. What's your take?
You know, first of all, when you come on national platforms to say that you are not a thief, that leaves a lot, you know, in the first place. Who is accusing you? Did we say you are a thief? Did we call you a thief? So, you know, when you wake up in the morning and you begin to talk about the dreams you had last night, or you are now bringing who asked you whether your house girl swept your house or not? You know, and you begin to talk, it leaves a lot, you know, to be imagined. So that's what Orji Kalu is not a, I mean, he's a household name in Nigeria, known for his notoriety and several other things. So, and you know, when people speak about fairness, you need to understand, when people talk about justice, when people talk about righteousness or whatever it is, you know, try to use the same language that you and I are talking. That's what makes Nigeria a very dangerous and interesting place too, because there are those who don't speak our rhetoric, if you understand the context of my usage. So you have people who speak our language, and this is how we confuse the Nigerians, the Nigerian populace and the world, because they are looking at, how did the scripture put it now? They are hearing the voice of Jacob, but they are feeling the hands of Esau. So you are confusing the people. You are confusing the people. And like we popularly say, that stay your lane so that this thunder will know how it will take strike. Because when we hear people like Orji Kalu and people, the thunder will be confused. When the thunder will not know how to fire. You know, so this is where the problem is, you know. And it's like, you know, when it's my own thief, when it's my own thief, then temper mercy with justice. When people speak of fairness, they are just speaking, they are talking of fairness within their private, it's something that belongs to them. You know, they are speaking within that context. It has nothing to do with the interest of the country, the interest of the common man. It's the same thing that we're talking about when you look at, so Peter Obi say, I'll remove fuel subsidy. He's talking about something completely different from when Atiku says, I'm going to remove fuel subsidy. And it's totally different from Bola Ahmed Tinubu say, I'm going to remove fuel subsidy. You know, but because, again, we are a headline people, you know, people will now say, did Peter Obi now say he's going to remove it? Did this person now say he's going to remove it? So why are you coming against us? This is exactly what Orji Kalu is doing. You know, you went to jail, my guy. 71 billion or whatever. You have not talked about it. Suddenly, you have companies everywhere. How come we are suffering if you have taken over all the youths and all the energy? How come we still have people? Because guess what? One person in Nigeria, when you hear the kinds of money, I mean, some of us have been, because my PhD has to do with nature and environment. And I remember 7 years while we were in school, a professor told us that even the curriculum that we are studying in school, right from Babangida's regime, they ensure that Nigeria does not know. Hey, God, where do you begin with this? That what we are being taught in school, they ensure that it does not include some of the things that are there naturally, so that it never gets to you. So you can The extent to the how crime is organized in this country is way into the generations unborn. That's why a governor elect can come out and say, I have 9 trillion, then go back to go. And people don't understand when some of us say things like Zamfara State and some of the states that have gold in Nigeria have more gold than the Gold Coast and South Africa combined. That's how blessed we are as a country. That's why we are still discovering oil in Kogi State and other places when we are not done with Oloibiri yet. That's how blessed we are. It's like Congo, like Nigeria. These are about the most richest states in Africa, but yet you can see where we are as a people. So when you hear people who should rot in jail come out and in national TV, I mean, well, again, here we are. The person that came last is our president. So you want me to analyze Orji Kalu? There are things I cannot even begin to talk. But he has said he's not a criminal. He's not a thief when nobody has accused him. So he has said so much already in that regard. However, it is important to also quickly stop on this note of what we should do actually so that we can complete the cycle of this sweet narrative. We must ensure that we have, now that we have a Muslim president and a vice president, a Muslim. Oh God, why did he even bring an SSG? Now he should have brought a Muslim SSG. So he can now bring a Muslim Senate president and ensure that
House of Reps
Muslim easy. I mean, and then we must ensure that I don't know the ratio now, but all the governors, they all should be, the next NMPC guy must be a Muslim. We must complete. In fact, Mazi, I think next week I'm going to come out with the placard on the street of Abuja, because we must complete this cycle of brigandage. It must be completed. It must be completed.
You're just a rebel. You're just a rebel.
So you want to toe the lines of El-Rufai now?
We must complete the agenda. The agenda must be completed. As a matter of fact, the agenda must be completed.
Please do.
In fact,
Chief Justice
must. Of my yet unborn great grandchildren.
Now, what you're saying as it is now, you are no longer supporting Orji Kalu nor Akpabio. It must be Yari. So let's
Yari for Senate President. Yari for Senate President. Yari. That is where I am right now. Everything must be complete. We must complete this cycle.
Breaking news: the National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC) Male Kyari has been suspended. The Daily Trust says has been fired with immediate effect. So maybe your narrative, Madmo, maybe your narrative is kicking in. We'll go see some crazy stuff.
I told you, and while we are right here, who knows? Maybe we can have another second breaking news again while we're still live on air. This is we're living in the best times of life. Can't you see? Can't you see that it's so? And thank God for technology that allows us to connect energy to energy, spirit to spirit, live and see what's going on. I mean, it's beautiful. I expect more. I mean, this drama must be completed. You know, I'm waiting for more of the breaking news. But don't forget, we must ensure that we help Orji Kalu to accomplish what he has started. We must help them, all of them. Yari for Senate President. Yes.
Now, wow.
You can see I'm not joking. I'm very serious about it. I'm very, very serious about it.
Wow. You want Nigeria to burn.
Which burn?
Which burn? We need to complete the agenda. So tomorrow, when we wake up with a Christian president, a Christian vice, as a matter of fact, I think we should give everything to Islam this time, so that next regime, we can give everything to Christian. That is how we must do this. Then another regime will give it to atheists, and then we'll come back to the Babalawos, and their pampas will take their shots, and they can enjoy themselves. I think this is what we need to do. Let's have this joke, this contraption. We must just help them to just come. Let's complete it. Yes.
No, please.
This one madness. So I want to share this with us. This is Business Day, basically trying to highlight the exchange rate since 1999. That is the advent of the Fourth Republic, where we have under Joseph Sanusi was $99 during Obasanjo, and they left office on Obasanjo 152 naira to $1. Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo from 2004 to 2009. Bear in mind their tenures is always 5 years. Soludo met dollar at 133 and left it at 147. I think that's approximately most. Soludo was the most stabilizing period. Again, that's also because you cannot do much as a CBN governor without having the full support of a president who actually has some things upstairs to offer. You recall that in Obasanjo's second term, we got, through the help of Dr. Okonjo Iweala, we got also debt relief from Paris Club and other agencies where we own our debt. Now, under Sanusi, 2009 to 2000, started with 2009 was late President Umaru Musa Yar'Adua and ended with Goodluck Ebele Jonathan, 148, and ended to 183 before we went into the election. Now, at 183, the APC, recall the campaign where Buhari sat down and was saying, is naira in your account better than what you met it? Is your parents sleeping better than they were sleeping before? Is it good that you're exchanging naira at 195? Blah, blah, yati, yati, yati. Now, we ought to have expected that when he takes over, instead of 180, 195 to a point of 215, we should actually see it slide down to less than 130, or even at least where it's, in between.
He promised 1-to-1. Buhari actually campaigned that $1 will be 1 naira.
I think that was Tam David West. But anyway, he actually promised that in Imo State. You're correct. On a campaign train in Imo State, he said that. And it was Tam David West who said that fuel will be sold at 45 naira. But all these things, there is an African adage by Museveni that I like so much. He said, and that is what I would now liken to politicians. He said to all the women, it will be very stupid of you to believe a naked man. Whatever promises he made to you when he was naked is obviously you. So whatever, just opposing that to the politics, I would say, we will be very stupid to believe politicians during the election campaign, because obviously for someone to say 1-to-1 and he left us with 758. I mean, you look at the margin. The margin is unbelievable. The margin is unbelievable. This is like 300%, right? You can imagine that time, if you had dollars, if you can see the future, if you had dollars, just leaving it without doing anything, just leave it in your dumb account or anyway, just by now, even if it's $2,000, you basically a millionaire in Nigerian terms, right? This is, sometimes something like this can just really get you on. So, Henry, I can see that you're joining us now. Henry, please, if you can unmute yourself. I know you can hear me, and turn on your camera. You can join us here in the studio. So, guys, looking at this now, we've actually looked at, the previous one. Looking at this, just opposing it to the sack of Emiefiele. Do you think, or do you now believe that these figures that we have displayed here justifies or plays more role in his sack? Or do you think that his sack has more to do with the narrative of Dangote refinery? Dr. Mo, Henry.
Yes, I'm trying to put on the something. Okay, yeah.
So Henry, we can hear you. Okay, Dr. Mo, while Henry is trying to put on his camera, can you go on, Dr. Mo? Henry,
Yeah.
if it becomes too difficult for you.
Yeah. No, don't worry. Just carry on. I will come on. I will come on. Yeah.
So go ahead, Dr. Mo.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the figures and this jump, you know, it's one of the most disheartening thing about our country. Sadly, this is the only country we have, and you can see the passion. Nigerians love Nigeria too much, you know, to say the least. The pain that breaks our hearts, you know, even though we laugh in the midst of all of this and make a joke of it, but it's so much pain, you know, that and I don't want to preempt because I have some of the figures and facts for why Emiefiele was removed, and to learn, and I was some of the allegations, I'm also going to mention them very briefly here, to be learning that all the debt profiles that we see are actually recycled. How can Emiefiele and a few other people, is an allegation, and I said it, that it's going to come out in a few days, that including the past president and some of these, you know, because the cabal are also in sections, they are in different, they regroup in different ways in this country. This is why we have been where we are. I mean, to imagine that our minimum wage is still 30,000 naira. Just yesterday, I went to buy 25,000 naira fuel, and it's exactly half tank. And don't forget that my tank wasn't showing red when I went to buy it. I can't even make a joke of this. We are on air, and I'll tell you, a lot of policemen and paramilitary men in the last 1 week, Mazi, some of those who we went out together, who ensured that we had security, I have to be sending funds to them. And I mean sending to their accounts directly, because they cannot afford food at home. So it has come to the point, it's not even something one can hide. You know, so if you catch me today and say, come and show, I will show you, you know, because they are crying and begging, because their basics are, these are people, they can't afford. So I have 25,000 naira fuel in my tank, and it's just half. So I had to ask myself, do I even want to go to court today or where? Because at that point, the reality dawned on me. And I'm now wondering how I am going to cope, how those of us who are seen as the helper of the masses are going to cope. I don't want to think about how some of the people, I don't even want to think, because thinking about it is impacting on my mental health. I have workers that I pay 50,000. There are some that I actually pay 25,000. So I'm just thinking and wondering, and I don't want to lose my Nigerianness or lose my humanity. But at this point right now, fuel is over 500 naira. The exchange rate is almost 800 naira under this regime that promised to do 1 naira to $1. And you can look at the regime change and the exchange rate that you have put. And I remember, because I was one of Jonathan's greatest critic. When you go back and you look at, in fact, when Obasanjo came in 1999, I was in the university, my part 1. So I was already very critical. And I can tell you what I wrote when Obasanjo came. I said, this is the height of witchcraft. That Obasanjo was head of state when I was born in 1978. I'm at 45 years old. His son is about my age mate, if I'm not mistaken. At a time when developed worlds are having 40-year-olds as president, how can Obasanjo come back again to eat our own future? That is a wizard. That was exactly what I said then, and people were saying they are going to arrest you, Dr. Mo, don't become like that. Now we passed that regime, and you can look at the exchange rate. Today, we will not only pray, it will be that God has entered Nigeria if we can have that exchange rate during Obasanjo. Now you move off.
I will pay. I would donate whatever if we even get less than 200. I mean, it's going to be like
if we can even get half of what we have today, it will be like the world, heaven has fallen down, you know, and we move from there to the other people down to Sanusi, Lamido Sanusi under Jonathan that we tore into pieces because, and I had the privilege to sit down with President Jonathan one-on-one. And I looked at Mama Peace in their home here in Abuja and I challenged them and I spoke to them and it was like, how can this happen? The Ziani? How can the Ziani? I mean, it's almost as though the world has fallen. Here we are. Do you know why we are laughing right now? Because the impossible has happened. Nigeria is a country where coconut, you know the coconut on the tree, you can go and pluck coconut and carry coconut and put broom like we play with, and you arrange that broom. That broom, that inordinate object will campaign for office and become president of Nigeria. Nigeria.
You have broken the table.
I mean, we have seen jam money swallowed by snakes and scorpion in Nigeria. So I don't, and here we are speaking with passion, and you are even questioning my hope. I'm hoping against hope, and you're even questioning that. Why would you not question that hope? Because how can I expect anything good to come out of the most illegal? You see, we are even lacking the vocabulary to describe what is going on in our country. And so here we are today, 757. And don't forget that I changed some just yesterday. So it's 700 and it's almost 760 today. I look at my phone and I have Bureau de Change 1 in number 2. In fact, I went to the bank just 3 days ago to collect 200.
You will teach me where you get this dollar. Make I follow you.
I will teach you. Yes, a friend sent $200 to me
I need
3 days ago.
I need me for dollar.
He sent $200, and when I went into the bank, I was giving, is it 1,500? I can't remember. And I said, why? They said for every dollar that come into the country, that the CBN has is $1 to, I can't remember the figure now, but I was excited. I was like, really? So I went in to collect $200, and then I'm having. Yes. Yes.
But
that is the rate, fraud.
Actually, would CBN would the bank give you the black market rate?
No, you don't understand what I'm saying. I'm saying that they'll give you your money.
They'll give you the dollar.
But CBN also has an incentive for every dollar that comes into the country.
Okay.
Because what we have right now, the fraud that is going on is that, do you know that if you want to change $1 trillion, if you go to the Bureau de Change by, what's it called, by Sheraton, you can change 1 trillion there without going into the banking system.
So much dollar in circulation.
This is the criminality going on that Nigerians are not even aware of.
You've just touched what I've been saying.
Anyway, let me bring in. I know Henry very well. As he the hot, you go bring everybody. Fasten your seatbelt. But before I bring him in, let's also listen to former President Njenje to welcome Henry now. So,
ABC, Nigeria, from top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom, top to bottom.
This one like this, tumbling. I'm good water. Everything is up for it.
So, Henry, Nigeria, indeed, we've gone from top to bottom. Your brother, Emiefiele, you have seen yesterday we were in the group. While the news broke, he was suspended, eventually arrested later yesterday. And you have also seen the link that was shared, which actually I could also share on the screen here, alluding to the fact that there were some undercut deals, $1 billion transaction allegedly that was linked to Aliko Dangote, which is also the Dangote refinery here. I think I've read that out before. But, you know, putting all this together, it's you know, it's your brother, and I say from another mother. But what do you think generally regarding the ordeal that he's passing through?
You see, the problem with Emiefiele is quite saddening. I wouldn't see him as a culprit. I think he's actually a victim. He's a victim of the Nigerian system. And the Nigerian system is cultivated in such a manner that it is cultivated on the principles of peerage system or peeragehood, where you have a mix of religion, a mix of tribe, a mix of, you know, just like that, but they are all peers. So these peers, the elites, they have a way of, you know, more or less like intermarriage, or politically or socially. That is how they interbreed. And they have interbreeded to a level that they've actually subverted our constitution, not only the constitution, but the institutions. So basically, we don't actually have institutions that save us as a nation. We only have institutions that are just there. It exists. So basically, you could walk into the healthcare sector, walk into the, you will need people there who are working. They are just, they come to work, they work, but there's no objective. There's no overall aim why they are doing this, why they're actually there. So you see, the Nigerian system actually exists in such a mode that compromises the existence of actually how a state should operate. The problem with CBN is that CBN has actually metamorphosed into the reality that we all faced, or the Nigerian state faced. And where that happens is quite sad because it's been politicized. Emiefiele becomes a serious victim because it comes from a minority group. And you know, when you are from a minority group, you will try your best to see how you could appeal to a lot of very powerful stakeholders in order to keep your seat. Buhari started off with something. He started off as, you know, he was pursuing a policy of interventionism, whereby the state has, you know, a overriding influence in safeguarding local institutions, or local economy, or the local companies and the rest. So there was a reason why they put the dual exchange rate in place, so that to allow the companies to access forex at an rate conducive for business, for competition. But where companies like what you've just mentioned, like Dangote and the rest, where they begin to come in to access this forex and then bastardize the entire system, that is why this policy will fail. So this is, I think Nigeria, we have not come to the grasp to understand the magnitude, the severity of this thing. This is a crime of national security dimension. It's a massive crime that has penalty in China. That is what we are looking at. We are just toying with it. If Dangote were to be in the US, he would be in jail. I'm telling you, FBI will seal off all his companies. He would be in jail this evening. I'm telling you the truth. With this headline, if it were to be in the very same country, Dangote will not be a free man. I'm very certain about it. You cannot, over the years, you have been benefiting from a lot of tax waivers, from a lot of incentives. All these things they are abusing the anti-competition laws, and anti-competition laws is key to a free market system. You cannot be saying you are practicing capitalism, or you are pursuing a free market system and you are abusing your anti-competition laws. So what is the basis for free market, a free market system? So the whole country is in a mess. There's no anti-competition laws. The economy is not even data-driven, but we still think we want to practice a free market system. And that is what Tinubu is doing now. Tinubu is trying to unify the interest rate, which I think is going to fail because there's no data behind all this. And it is only going to, the interest rate is only going to escalate, and the inflation is only going to go up. So what we're actually seeing now,
the dual interest rate, was it actually a creation of Emiefiele? Wasn't that available under Goodluck Jonathan?
Of course, we've always had the multiple interest rate system. We've always had that.
Yeah, because I recall during Abacha, one of the things Abacha was good at was that, it was very rigid in, those, I think around 19 naira or whatever, or 29 naira that he was giving to the Manufacturer Association of Nigeria.
Thank you very much.
And all the rest, yeah.
Thank you very much. So this policy is actually not conducive to international partners, especially the imperial partners, the Western Bloc. This particular policy of our dual exchange rate is not their thing at all. They don't like it because what it does, it makes their industries less competitive to ours, and it's not. It kills their export, and it makes our raw materials more expensive. So they don't. It makes our export more expensive. So they don't like that. What they want is that they could access. They want us to practice a free market system, basically, knowing fully well that all the factors, all the dynamics of a free market system is not evident in our system, and it will definitely fail. They know that already. They know that the moment we dump the dual exchange rate system, our companies will not be able to access a forex, for example, at a good rate that would compete with theirs.
So, but why don't we, sorry if I pause you here, the argument you're driving, recall that when Buhari took over, one of those trips that he went to China and he came back, and some of those who called us the willing willers were, used their drums and headed to the street, saying that we have signed a Chinese yen swap deal. One of the nonsensical things I've ever read in my life, where they made the allusion that the technophone will suddenly begin to cost 15,000 naira. Then I ask again, those vuvuzulas, those who hallelujah praising government praisers, who went to street to sing about these things, what is happening now? Where are we with those currency swaps?
Okay, you see, you should also ask, since we pursue that deal, because that yen naira swap something is a good policy actually, because it makes us to do away with dollar on transactions that are not ordinarily dollar dominated. Which, if two partners trading the same way India and Russia, they are trading now, the BRICS nation actually. So in a way, it actually helps. But where we got it wrong is when we begin to go out to borrow. During Buhari, when we started borrowing with all these conditionalities, that is what compromised that policy. So it is not going to work with the monumental debt in place now. That kind of swap policy is not going to do us any. There's not much benefit there, basically, because we're heavily indebted.
Okay, so to wrap this up, Henry, and again with Dr. Mo, finally, do you think your brother has committed something atrocious that he is going to be punished in the long run? So what's your final take of it? Do you believe that he will be punished? Do you think that Tinubu will have the balls to actually do the right thing?
I think Emiefiele will never go to jail. He will never go to jail. I know why. I have that 200% certainty. Emiefiele will not go to jail because You see, funny as this should be, Emefele has a good sympathy from the military. I will tell you that. He's got a good. Don't forget that when it was being attacked by some of the elites during at the height of this policy, who welcomed Emefele back from US? It was the military chief that gave him the protection, to come back to the country. So, to a good extent, they understand the dynamics at play. So it's going to get very interesting when the attempt to prosecute him is going to get very, very interesting, because you think he cannot be a governor for CBN for so many years and he does not have evidence at his disposal. The guy has a lot of evidences at his disposal. He knows those who have been. You see, how can somebody deposit billions of naira from home and you tell me you've got their record during the currency swap, during the currency exchange, you got their record, those who deposited billions that cannot be accounted for. He can easily tell them, okay, you see, the transactions are there. Those who deposited this money, this is just one strand of the situation there. Those who deposited money during this policy, let them come out before Nigeria to tell Nigerians this is where we got this money from. They will not be able to defend those. There are a lot of money laundering violations evidences that this guy has got. That is just one side. Then you talk of the interbank, this forex market. That is where this man will do a lot of damage, because Dangote one is just nothing compared to what is coming. Dangote is not. They are the likes of. I don't want to mention it, but there are a lot of very powerful Nigerians that are involved. You think Nigeria just collapsed overnight? Nigeria will not collapse overnight. Nigeria, if they begin to mention it, even Tinubu himself is involved. When they begin to name names, you will find. You see, after the election, who did he host? He hosted one particular bank manager, a former UBA chairman of. You see, sometimes they try to make us seem like all these things exist, all this kind of situation, these corruption matters exist in isolation from their involvement. They are all involved. Their companies, their subsidiaries is all involved in the complete sabotage of Nigeria.
So what you are saying in essence that all this is nothing but bravado, and the picture we have here, those men in this picture are likely not to make him, not to allow him go into whatever crime committed, right?
Absolutely, he's not going to go to jail. You can take that to the bank. he's going to steal everything. If they attempt it, he's going to steal everything, and it's going to be so damaging, because you see, Dangote oil is just like a flyer, just for them to understand that, look, if you do us this thing, if you take this thing too far, more is coming. That's what it's all about.
Thank you very much, Henry. So, the only lady in the house, do you believe that Emiefiele would be punished for the things he's done? Or do you want to align yourself?
No, the thing is, Nigeria is a very interesting place. Dasuki was somebody we thought they could never touch. I mean, see how powerful he was before, during, and even post Jonathan per se. But they put him behind bars and he became as powerless as anybody else, So Nigeria can deal with you. So I don't believe that Emefele is not going to jail because he has evidence that he can spill. I think the powers that be will try and protect him because he's helping a lot of people, he's protecting people, and he was indeed taking orders from the president and a lot of people around the president. So anybody who wants to hurt him must have more to offer that Emefele has to offer with information that's with him. I'm sure, like my brother just said, he has way too much information on his hands, but it is still Nigeria. And this Nigeria is really an Omilokon kind of country where everybody takes their turn. Omilokon, they'll come and do their own. They'll put those that offended them for the look at Buhari. he had his anger with Dasuki throughout the whole coup, whatever. And as soon as he became president, he took him and threw him behind bars. This is how we roll in Nigeria. So yeah, our local guys are doing their own. They'll put everybody that they feel offended or delayed their progress, them this opportunity, they'll put them behind bars. But eventually, I don't know. It's Nigeria. Nigeria is not somewhere where you can actually accurately predict these things. Like I said before, everyone should just carry their Coke and Fanta, buy your popcorn, sit down, relax, and let's enjoy the show while we wait for the court to give us the right mandate.
Yes, that is a very good one. Yes, because this one is a nightmare to have.
Dr. Mo, do you
Dr.
agree?
Mo, I agree. Look at the way he's looking at all of us. Look at the way he's looking at all of us. Dr. Mo, don't tire.
Dr. Mo,
You know, it's I wish I don't have to feel like this. I wonder many times, why do I have to go? Why? And I speak for a lot of other people who I wish I could give up, and I've watched very critically. As you know, I mean, and I speak particularly because 72 hours before the pronouncement, I'm asking myself, what madness will come to your head to carry people, almost 100 people to go and stop Mahmoud Yaku? Because I know that the result that is reading is Emilioko's result, not Nigeria's result. And so against the police, against the military tanks, we forced ourselves, because I knew they were going to announce a different result. And the same thing, about 80 days ago, we carried ourselves to the field and just parading ourselves, we could be killed. So I sit down wondering, because if I look through all the people who are like us, whether you talk about Thomas Sankara, you talk about Marcus Garvey, you talk about all the people in Nkrumah, you can go through the names. Apart from Nelson Mandela, Nelson Mandela was the only person that died a natural death. All the other revolutionaries, they were all killed, including Murtala Muhammad, who situated Abuja where it was. He was a visionary leader. And I challenge our young people to read about these people. Murtala Muhammad was just the head of state for 6 months, but they had to ensure that they kill him, and should any of us here be given a little power, they're going to kill us. You look at our mouth, I'm watching. So that's why I'm not excited. It's not something to be happy about, because I know they will. I mean, I'm just meeting with Henry for the first time, but I know he's already a candidate for death, like all of us, given the kinds of narrative that we're talking about. So there is, and
the problem. Sorry to cut you. Sorry.
Yes.
You see, the problem you just said just now here is this. You see, in China, the way they view the likes of Alibaba, they don't see them as above the country or above the law, above, they will deal with you as if you are a normal citizen. But in Nigeria, to even mention the fact that, look, Dangote has violated economic policies. He has abused, he has benefited from the abuse of the sabotaging of Nigeria's economic policies
are made for.
When you craft policy, it's the system that is using Dangote to do its thing. Dangote is just like me and you. Somebody will walk up to him as president, as governor, as minister, as whatever, and give him a deal. And then, unlike the other guys who will say, no, this will cripple the economy, this will destroy competition, this is going to destroy our rice market, our cement market, our wheat market, everything. Dangote is, I don't know, I think he believes he's smart enough to say no problem, and he'll go in there and do whatever he's told to do. He's the one that has survived all the regimes, whether it is the military or the imposed government or the actually voted in government, whichever government it is, he's always there because he plays whatever ball you give to him. He's not going to argue with you. Just tell him what you want, and he's going to do it. And I think that's what Mefile also did. Basically, tell me what you do, I will do it. And then you come out and you say Dangote is a billionaire, he's this, Forbes this. No, not
because
the government comes in and tells him to do, and then brings a lot of money. most of the money may not even be his. It could actually be that he's just a face, a pawn in the basket of some of these guys. And then because his name is what they're using to do their racketeering, he's the one that we know, and he's the one on the Forbes list, and he's the one for whom they have to spend billions building refinery and all that. Let's not kid ourselves. Dangote has never been a businessman, and he'll probably never be. But he's extremely instrumental to carrying on the policies, private, evil, whatever you want to call it, that some of our leaders tend to need him to do for them. That's how I see him.
Yeah, the violation of our Nigeria's anti-competition laws is a primary element in the destruction of our anti-competition law, and which is very vital.
You're not viewing this holistically. If you view it holistically, you will see that Dangote is just one little pawn in that basket. He's not the one creating any laws. He's not violating any laws per se. They are just creating laws around him, they use decrees and they use policies, blocking off the boundaries. There's no law there. It's an executive order.
That's like what
only Dangote will have operations. That's not Dangote breaking laws. That's the law breaking for Dangote.
So that's like what I said before. Laws are created around him.
Yes. He's not the one creating any laws. He's not breaking any laws. They just create whatever needs to be created around him so that he can amass whatever wealth he needs to amass. And then so he can kill off whatever businesses they need him to kill off. When you look at what happened during the time of wheat, cement, I mean, just name it. Once it is time, sugar, Dangote, you are the one we're going to allow to do certain things. Any other person is trading contraband. Any other person is breaking the law. So they create laws around him. He doesn't break laws. They just create the laws around him.
No,
so let's not confuse ourselves. Yeah, but he's not breaking any laws. No, the people who are committing the crimes are the government, the president, the House of Assemblies, the House of Reps, the Senate, the executive orders that the presidents are using. Those are the things that they are using to make way for him to pass through while everybody else is shut down. I mean, look at during COVID. See what they did during COVID. Nobody could do anything, but Dangote could do anything he wanted to do. Now, how was he breaking any laws? He wasn't breaking any laws. They've just created the laws for him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, he has benefited as a beneficiary. Is more or less like whoever the bad man for drug dealing. If you are a bad man for drug dealing, then you are a drug dealer. It does not mean whether you push the drug or not. As long as you are a bad man for drug dealers, you are a drug man. So in the same wise, it doesn't matter whether the government break the law for him or violated the constitution for him, as long as he's a beneficiary, a key beneficiary of laws that were constitutional provisions that were violated, or laws that were broken on his behalf, or for him, or to enable him, or to perpetuate him. He is a beneficiary and is also complicit in it. So he will be treated like that. In any same country, is more or less, will be held culpable the same wise, the ex-leaders.
I completely disagree with you, my dear brother. When you do not break any laws, nobody is going to hold anything against you. There's no place on earth where you're going to say that Dangote is guilty of what? What is he guilty of? Doing business in an environment the government created for him? No, he's not guilty of anything. Nothing. The people you should be angry at are the people creating those environments for him against the country.
And that's why we were hoping. That people like
Can I take you towards National Assembly? Can I take you towards the practical operationality of what you just said? So if you say laws are broken on behalf of somebody, you see, it's like the deals that are done.
That's not what I'm saying at all. Laws are created around somebody. You cannot break laws that are created around him because they look at his needs and they create the laws that function on his behalf. He's not breaking any laws. He's not doing anything wrong. No, Dangote is actually innocent of everything that is wrong with our country. But the systems we live in have created an enabling environment that encourages only him to do business, killing off competition, killing off businesses, making our economy like shambling, like killing off the entire country. There are more dead people thanks to Dangote than there are people who have succeeded thanks to Dangote.
As well as the manipulation of the capital market.
No, it's not the manipulation of capital market. It's the laws. It is the leadership of Nigeria that is manipulating Nigeria's economy because of Dangote or through Dangote.
Gentlemen and ladies, okay, I think it's a very fine place to anchor this evening. There's been a wonderful time to discuss these issues. Obviously, like one of us said, the day is still pregnant. You know, tomorrow is Sunday. I mean, for me personally, nothing shocks me. I don't think there is anything that will happen in Nigeria now that will shock me. I don't think that if I wake up tomorrow, they say XYZ is dead in office, it won't shock me. Or that some people blew trumpet and are marching on the streets. You know what I mean? Wouldn't. Because, nobody today, Nyash day for back. We've seen it all. So the thing, the shark body again. Anyway. So on that note, I would say we'll keep, observing, looking at what is happening, and we will keep exploring the truth and the news behind the headlines that we read every day. We'll keep doing what we do. And I want to thank you, all of you, and Henry for joining me, Eunice Atwejide for also joining me. And I pray we are still going to have your program next week. I pray that, INEC eventually you will go to court. And again, and for those of you that
we are in court. We are in court already. Yeah. So pray that we win.
So I pray you win. But again, I learned also from the conversations that you guys are spending millions, and your personal money beyond the election just to fight this case for INEC to get back. This is where that Nigeria doesn't make sense. You made mistakes. You need to go back to court to spend millions to get your name back. And
a lot of millions. Lot of millions.
So, and you guys need tremendous help to keep pursuing this case, and we will go into the details of it when we have this one-on-one program that we already planned for. Thank you very much for joining. And my brother from another mother and my brother from the street, we're all rebels, non-conformists.
You need to bring Ike to this show. That's one of the biggest rebels I know. That will even break bottles.
Don't worry, we'll all get there. So, Dr. Mo, thank you very much for finding the time to join me on this. So I will say thank you all for joining me. And you viewers there, thank you very much for being part of this. In the last 2 hours plus, you've been part of this program. All I can say to us, for many of you who are joining us for the first time, please, if you haven't subscribed to this platform, it doesn't cost you anything. It doesn't cost you $1, not the parallel market. It doesn't cost you Naira. All you need to do is to click the like button and to click the subscription button. The moment you subscribe, do not forget to click the bell icon that anytime we come online, that you're going to know that we are online. On that note, I will say thank you once more, all of us, for the time, for the effort, and for the belief that we know that there is a placeholder that, from the things that has happened in court today to a point that those that have conducted the election are also objecting to view the videos of the conduct of their own election. It's getting interesting. On that, I will say, go get your popcorn, because the update we'll have and we'll be posting to you later, it's also very, very interesting. On that note, I say good night to all of us. And
thank you, Master.